Hi, this is Black Man in a White City, and I just want to have a conversation really quickly about Dinesh D'Souza. For some reason, no one's really challenged this man on any healthy, open-minded level. It appears, let's talk about who he is. Okay, so Dinesh D'Souza, according to Wikipedia, of course, is a commentator. He is of Indian American descent, a political commentator, author, filmmaker. He's affiliated with a number of conservative organizations and publications, including the American Enterprise Institute, the Heritage Foundation, the Hoover Institution, and Policy Review. So, it's clear that there's an agenda behind him. But I saw him in a video where he was having a debate with a student at a well-known college. I'm not going to show the video because I want to basically make sure that I am not infringing on anyone's rights and I can actually maximize the marketing for my own videos. But his argument was to counter the young man's assertion that there is an inequality in our society and in our governmental system by the way it had gained its wealth through slavery and through the annihilation of the American Indian, and that there should be some reparation involved to right the wrongs. Now, Dinesh's position was completely polar opposite, and his logic, sometimes if you hear it on face value, and especially if you're someone who doesn't want to pay reparations, his mindset seems like it's correct. And he used this logic. He said there was conquest all the time throughout the ages, that one tribe of Indian conquered another and took their land. So he's saying you don't get to have land forever. This is what he's saying. That's interesting because nations are formed by claiming land and then creating a government to rule over that land. So I would argue that nations are saying that they want to be forever. So by Dinesh's logic, you could just, if you are strong enough to overthrow any country or any sovereign nation, then that's your land. And there should never be any reparations. Now, let's look at this. So there was reparations made to Japan after we dropped the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Interesting. We repaired them. There was reparations made to Israel, the nation of Israel, by Germany. They repaired them. So it's funny how when it comes to the darker nations, that's when the money seems to become unavailable for reparations. As a matter of fact, the Israeli government was repaid almost immediately after the war in 1952. So here we are, 400 years past slavery for the African, and no, we can't do that, and we can't repair them. Now, Dinesh, being a darker person, to me, is a perfect person for these conservative organizations to have as their front person, because it's almost it's the old adage, see, we have a darker person that stands with us in our ideology. But I think if you turned and made it more personal, and you physically assaulted and attacked, which again, I'm not recommending, and I don't recommend violence, but if that violence were visited personally upon Dinesh, I think that his point of view would dramatically change. So, what I'm suggesting is that, sure, there have been instances of reparation, just not to the darker people of the earth. So the logic that no, we just can't go back in history and repair every person that's ever been wrong, which is not the argument. The argument is not repairing everyone that's been wrong. The argument is repairing the damage that your ancestors, your governmental system has done systematically to the people of the nations that you conquered. And that should be pretty clear and pretty easy. For instance, if someone were to steal your wallet, you're going to make a report and hopefully bring that person to justice and get reparations. First of all, that person would be put in jail. They probably would pay a fine. You would get your money and your wallet back and those things. So by Dinesh's mindset, then there should be no reparations ever, because we can just consider it conquest. So where do you draw the line? Do you draw the line in war? It's okay to have conquest, steal land, and never repay, and murder and rape citizens, and by the millions. When is it okay? Is it okay for nations? Is it okay for people then? Can I just go out and just mug someone, take their wallet, and say, hey? Finally, Dinesh's argument was that we would go bankrupt if we did that. Well, good. That's like saying that, well, that guy who stole my wallet, he won't have my money anymore if we put him in jail. Yeah. So his argument was just completely nonsensical, but to those who wanted it to make sense, it made perfect sense. So he really, really did a number on the people that were in support of him. But if you are awakened, you can see through the falsehood of this argument. So I really would like to hear your comments. You should actually go, just type in Dinesh Destroys, and then you'll see the very first video should be it, where he is quote unquote destroying a liberal student, and he has it on his YouTube channel, by the way. So I guess he's proud of that, but I wouldn't be proud of that, because it's pseudo intellectualism. It's without experience. So how he's able to separate himself from his own conscience and his own experience, since that his people were abused throughout history as well, but only in a different way. I don't know how that works, that people are able to separate themselves from their own consciousness. I'm not asking that we be victims in any way. I'm asking that we be fair in our dealings. I would personally not let anyone conquer me. They would have to kill me. And I certainly will kill as many people who ever tried to conquer me physically. But we have problems in this country of mental enslavement and spiritual enslavement. And that's due to lack of understanding and lack of knowledge. So it is my point of view that these governments ought to give back what they stole, and not have it given in form of financial reparations. For instance, the Germans did not, it wasn't just a financial or monetary reparation. They paid for the Israeli citizens to go back to their homeland, and there were other sorts of reparations that were made. Now, that's one thing that could be done. First of all, African American school education should be free. That might blow the top off of your mind, but in fact, African Americans and Africans in general were denied the ability to read. So one of the things you stole was education. It should be repaired. We were denied pay for free labor. That should be repaired. And that could be repaired in many ways. And it doesn't have to be an affirmative action. And let us also remember that there was an affirmative action when America was conquered and stolen. white people were given land. They were told to go settle the land, and they were given hundreds of thousands of acres for free. Now, if that is not affirmative action, I don't know what it is. And those acres were then handed down to their children, generation after generation after generation. So I'm not at all blaming white people. What I'm blaming is the system of enslavement and conquest that Dinesh seems to write off as just the spoils of war. That's all I have. Black Man in a White City. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I'm curious to know. Black Man in a White City. Be good.